She's one of the masterminds behind this beautiful and yet unsettling environment that's Pollinator Park. And she is also one of the founders of the creative duo that forms the agency Poppins and Wayne. Please welcome Yasmin Van de Werf. She's the writer and creative director of Pollinator Park. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Beatrice.
So I know that there is a love story behind the agency and this bringing together technology and storytelling. Can you tell me a little bit about this and what do you think is the added value to raise awareness?
Well, at the core, Poppins and Wayne, that's actually me and my husband. And our baseline when story meets technology, imagination comes to life, is quite literally the story of our life. Back when we met, I was a writer and he was running a game studio. It seemed like two completely different worlds at the time, but over the years, we started discovering that, hey, there's interesting things we can do together. And it became inevitable to merge my background in story and his in technology. And we created a whole new playground where we work on immersive storytelling and try and combine new technologies and new story mechanics to bring messages in a very impactful way. And
what do you think is actually the added value of using technology and storytelling to raise awareness?
So if you combine these two, you turn your audience into a participant in a story. You're not listening to a story, you're not reading a story, you're not hearing it. You're part of a story and you get to experience the reality, and that makes it lasts longer, the experience lasts longer, and it allows us to confront people with certain subjects or issues in a completely new way. One that has way more impactful, is way more impactful on a long term. We think there's a lot to explore there, and we try not to stick to one specific type of technology. We just see what happens in innovation and play around with it, which is fun. There's so much room to explore and to experiment and find out new rules of storytelling.
There is a lot to explore for people who will be visiting Pollinator Park. I want you to tell me a little bit more about your inspiration to build the park.
Well, it was not the easiest job to create an immersive and emotionally engaging universe about pollinators. So we were struggling with the right creative idea, and then actually we have a 7-year-old son, and I really have to thank him and his fascination for dinosaurs. So one night we watched Jurassic Park, and it just got us thinking that what does it take for us to become fascinated with a species? Does it take extinction? Does it take the fact that you put them in a cage or on display for visitors? Is that what we need to do? And so we started thinking about, okay, let's create a pollinator park. Let's set it in the year 2050 and have visitors walk around like, oh, wow, pollinators, as if they were in a zoo or in a museum, and get to interact with them in a completely different way than you would in reality.
There is an essential part to the Pollinator Park story, which is Beatrice.
Yes.
Beatrice is an instrumental part in the storytelling. And I was wondering, how did you get inspired to create this John Hammond of Pollinator Park?
Well, I needed her. The whole Pollinator Park idea, the moment that we established that, we knew we could build a universe and it would make sense. But then you start writing a backstory, and you need to think of someone who came up with this idea. You need to have motivation. So on a story technical side, I needed a protagonist, but also pollinators are not the easiest animal to work with in such a context. For starters, they're tiny, and people don't have this natural feeling of empathy towards pollinators. In animals, species, you have the cool animals, the lions and elephants, and you have the cute ones, like the koala bears. I mean, creating Penguin Park would have been an easy job. For Pollinator Park, I needed Beatrice as sort of an empathy lever. Someone who is passionate about pollinators, and you get to see through her eyes what's been happening to the world and what she was inspired to do and yeah, dedicate her life to, basically.
Someone you can relate to.
Yes, she's hopefully she's a bit of a role model for whether you want to take small action and contribute to something better for our future and pollinators' future, or on a larger scale. I mean, yeah,